Chulip, released first in Japan on October 3rd, 2002, is described as an adventure/simulation game developed by Punchline. Also, it's f***ing nuts. Chulip's protagonist is a young man who has just moved into a small village with his elderly father and desperately wants to kiss a girl he's just met. That's right, the end goal of this video game is to kiss a girl you like. That's it. Easy, right? Not quite. It turns out strangers aren't too fond of being kissed out of the blue, and attempting to do so will earn you a swift and sharp slap, which drains your health and can even sometimes cause the protagonist to drop down dead. So what's the solution? How does our protagonist stand a chance? He must write the perfect love letter to his sweetheart. To do so, he needs a letter writing kit, which is spread around Long Life Town and its surrounding areas, and the protagonist must complete tasks in order to collect the pieces of the kit, tasks which almost always include kissing more strangers. So that's the general synopsis of the game, but how does it actually play? The main goal of the game, as stated earlier, is to collect 3 components of a letter writing kit, and you get these by solving problems for certain citizens of the town. The catch is, this game has a time system. It's much faster than real time, but certain areas are only open and certain people only appear at certain times of the day. For example, for the love ink, you need to speak to a monk of the Worldly Desire Temple. However, he is only in the temple in the evening. During the day he's in your hometown collecting donations, and at night he's sleeping. So a lot of the game revolves around figuring out exactly who is where at any given time. Unfortunately, this means there can be a lot of waiting around, especially for the side quests of the game, which mostly include kissing what the game calls underground residents. These people live under the ground for the majority of each day but come out at a specific time, wander around a bit, and then go back in their hole. In order to level up your character and increase your health, which is needed for later missions, you must find these characters and kiss them. But again, it isn't that simple. Each character has a specific win condition. For example, in the park in your hometown, an underground resident known as Chopper comes out of the ground at 4 AM and starts spinning. You must jump on a spinning ride in the park to impress her. She will then give you a brief window in which to kiss her. If you fail or miss your window, she'll hurt you, and then she goes back in the hole at 6 AM. That's it. If you miss your window, you gotta wait a full 22 hours in-game time in order for it to appear again. The game does give you certain ways around this via comic books you can read to pass the time, or an alarm clock that wakes you up at a certain time so you can just go to sleep so you don't have to wait. Neither one of these are available to you at the beginning though, and must be bought or unlocked. So this can get quite tedious, especially as your bed is in your hometown and your kissing target may be 2 or 3 train rides away. Listen, you're almost certainly going to be emulating this game if you're playing it. It's quite a rare game. If you do, then use an emulator with a fast forward function. It makes the game a hell of a lot easier to deal with. You'll notice that the win condition for that kiss was quite complex. How are you supposed to know when that resident appears? How are you supposed to know what will allow you to kiss her? Well, this is where the experience between the Japanese and US releases of the game differ slightly. The game themselves aren't different, but the US release shipped with what is essentially an entire walkthrough of the game in its instruction booklet. If I zoom in on this bit here, you can see the resident I was just talking about. It gives the times in which she appears, her exact win condition, and exactly how much damage she'll do to you if you fail. It's a crazy amount of information to give out, but honestly I feel it's absolutely necessary to enjoy the game. Just for clarification, it also gives a full walkthrough of each main mission. What's bonkers is, as far as I'm aware, the Japanese version did not ship with this manual. They had to figure it out all on their own. I'm not sure if this was based on Japanese players giving negative feedback, or if they just thought Western audiences would struggle, or even it's just because the game was published by a separate company in the US. But I thank them for it, it was invaluable in my playthrough. Controlling the protagonist himself is fairly straightforward. You move the analog stick to walk slowly around. You can unlock running later. You have a contextual button for talking to residents or digging around in trash cans for poopy. Finally, you have your kissing button. The game is viewed from an almost isometric viewpoint for the most part, and I think it controls fine. I just wish you had the run button from the start, but it didn't annoy me too much. The 2 main selling points of the game for me are the characters and the music. Talking about the characters of the game for a moment, the only character in the entire game who's kind of a blank slate is the protagonist himself. Everyone else has their own personality. They sometimes look amazing, they're wacky, they have their own individual routines that they go through every day. It really makes you want to earn the kisses of each resident. You want to find out their story, find out what it takes to befriend them. Easily one of the high points. As stated, another one of the high points is the music. The score was composed by Hirofumi Taniguchi, who is also credited with games such as Chibi Robo and Wii Play. Each track in Chulip stands out and it creates a vibe which is completely unlike any other game. You've got smooth jazz in your hometown, spooky music in the graveyard, and some vocal work for the game's menu screen that I will never get out of my head. Seriously, if you haven't heard it, go look it up. Let's wrap this review up then, shall we? It's a bit of a difficult one to put a score on. If I played it as it was originally released in Japan, then my score would have been lower. It would simply be too frustrating not having the manual and not being able to move time along faster. As it stands, I'm going to score it as I played it, and as you the viewer will most likely have to play it due to its rarity, with full view of the US manual and an emulator with save states and fast forward. It's not the most conventional score, but then again, this isn't a conventional game. I award Chulip a 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching. As you can most likely see, this is my first video on this channel and I wanted to start off reviewing something a bit out there. If you like the review and want to hear more, I actually recently discussed this game on the video game podcast that I run, Play Talk Repeat. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. Finally, if you could like and subscribe, it'd be a great help, but most importantly, if you've played Chulip, let me know what you thought down in the comments. I'd love to get other viewpoints on this crazy, wonderful game. I've been Purple Crab. Thanks for tuning in.